Hello and welcome back to another Before You Buy. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and for those that aren't aware, these are the videos where I give you 5 reasons to go for a brand new NAS system, but I'll also give you 5 reasons where you might want to sit on the fence a little bit longer. This is the Terramaster F4-424 Max, released in September 2024, recording this video in October 2024. So it's going to be good to see just how good this system is and whether it can help you with your data. So number one, let's be honest, the fact it's 10 GBE out the gate. This system arrived with 2 10 GBE ports there on the rear. Weirdly, in 2024, finding 10 GBE desktop 4-bay solutions is really difficult. One of the main reasons for that, of course, being that fully saturating the 10 GBE connection on a simple 4-bay system is actually quite difficult. And unless you're going to populate it with 2.5-inch SATA SSDs, you're not really going to be able to fully saturate that 10 gig at all. So I'm pleased to say that not only does this system have the ability, more on that later on, to fully saturate a 10G connection, there's actually the potential to fully saturate both. Terramaster doesn't have a lot of 10G solutions in their portfolio, and the ones that they've had have tended to be a little bit more understated in terms of their hardware. This, on the other hand, the Max, does actually allow for a great deal more inside and kind of under the bonnet there, and a lot of that, not all, gets realised via those 10G connections. Now, one of the great ways in which you can achieve a lot of those performance numbers there of full saturation using synthetic testing and real-world testing, somewhere sitting around the few hundred megs, of course, because of mixed files and real-world usage, is to do with that i5 processor inside. It is the Intel i5-1235U, a 12th gen Intel mobile SoC processor, 10-core, that's 8 efficiency cores, 2 power cores, 55-watt TDP. I'm cool and available at parties. That CPU we've seen in numerous NAS systems in the last year or so, mostly DIY. Very few turnkey NAS solutions have rocked out with that CPU, with the exception of QNAP on their powerhouse and fantastically expensive QNAP Thunderbolt 7.2 and 7.4 series devices. Now, this CPU with XE integrated graphics, 1.2 gigahertz integrated graphics, means Plex multimedia transcoding, massive tick, virtualization, massive tick, AI processes, massive tick. It is a solid, great CPU that, although it's a little bit more power hungry than the N305 in the Pro Series model, is still a powerhouse of a compact CPU for NAS to get around. Remember earlier when I said this system could saturate those 10Gs if it really needed to? Well, one of the main reasons it can do it alongside that CPU is, of course, the M2 NVMe slot inside. You haven't just got 4 SATA ports there on the front for taking advantage of hard drives and SATA SSDs. There are 2 M.2 NVMe slots built into the side that are Gen4 times 4 speed. That's a potential 7,000 to 8,000 megabytes per second bandwidth to play with on each slot. And if you take advantage of Gen4 SSDs, that's more than enough oomph to take advantage of those 10 GBEs on the rear. There's a bunch of 10 gig USBs that we're going to talk about later on for different reasons, but I will say this is one of very few sub £1,000 turnkey NAS systems in the market that give you Gen 4 times 4 M2 NVMe slots for direct editing drives there, scratch disks, or for larger operating system and larger app deployment for virtual machines, Docker and more, all built into this tiny little compact 4-bay. There's no avoiding that a lot of the points I'm going to raise in this 5x5 are going to be ones that are similar to other Terramaster videos, and that's because we're going to talk about the brand, not just the solution. And one of the things the brand brings to the table is T-RAID, a flexible RAID storage system that allows you to mix and match drives. You don't have to be locked in on the same drive capacity as you find in traditional RAID configurations like RAID 5 or RAID 6. Utilising T-RAID allows you to mix and match your drives. Now, on day one, you're not going to take advantage of that. Why would you put a 1TB, a 4TB, a 6TB and a 20TB on day one? You're not going to do that. But if you bought this and on day one you put in a couple of 4TBs and a few years from now you want to expand, you may want to use larger drives, and that's where a flexible RAID storage system will allow you to do that. Add to that the fact that Terramaster has a bunch of expansion systems all connected via USB. On the 10 gig USBs that this has, allows you to have even larger storage systems of JBOD expansions while still taking advantage of mixed drive configurations within them managed by the system. Tick. Earlier I mentioned this being a turnkey NAS solution. What that means is, although you're getting a system that is built for NAS, a turnkey NAS solution is one that is designed to be deployable straight out the box. Now, this arrives with software on board. TOS, Terramaster Operating System, currently in TOS version 6, recently released. This software includes pretty much everything. It's Terramaster's take on a lot of stuff, and although they don't have the pedigree of a QNAP or a Synology in the market, I will say they do try their best to catch up. Their NAS software there, it's a mobile app, there's a desktop app. You can take advantage of standard in-browser file management, copy, paste, extract, share, encrypt, all that kind of stuff. Take advantage of write once, read many support with their Hyperlock. There are backup applications. There are client sync tools for Windows and Mac desktops to create shared team folders. You've got AI-powered photo recognition. You've got an iSCSI target and LUN manager. You've got the virtual machine tool. You've got snapshots. You've got OTP for your extra secure login there, and security system scanning tools there, and that isolation mode that at one click allows you to disconnect the whole system from any external access or third-party PHP plugins. On top of that, support of ext4 and BTRFS allows for incremental file checks during the write operations internally. It's not quite as good as ECC, more on that in a bit, but it's still pretty darn good. There's even deduplication built in. And if all of that isn't ringing your whistle, then I'll tell you this right now, you can install third-party OS. They will allow you to install Unraid or TrueNAS on this without invalidating that 3-year hardware warranty there. That is wonderful stuff in terms of software. But it can't all be gravy. It's not all great. Let's talk about the reasons why this system may leave you a little cold, a little bit in the dirt and still on the fence.
That's just the way it is.
The fact this is the Max system in a 3-system range of Standard, Pro and Max, and only arrives with 8 gig of memory is kind of disappointing. That CPU supports up to 64 gig, and with 2 SODIMM slots inside, so can this. So rocking out with 8 gig when other solutions from the brand have arrived with 16 in their Pro or higher tiers, it's kind of disappointing. But we've got to talk about the real kick in the nadgers, the lack of ECC memory inside. A few of you are just not going to be happy about that. That CPU being the choice it is not going to allow for ECC memory in this. So the 8 gig of memory out the gate and the lack of ECC is definitely going to put some users off.
That's just the way it is.
Also, I think this is perfectly fair to say, as good as TOS has become in their latest version, it doesn't feel finished. Terramaster have a tendency to rock their software out the gate, out of beta, quicker than anyone else, and I think this could have stood to be in beta and with further development for a little longer. I don't really like the Windows 11 kind of aesthetic there, trying to merge Mac and Windows environments and kind of halving both of them. I'm not a big fan of that. I actually quite liked TOS 5.1's layout once it reached 5.1 when it spent more time in the oven, and TOS 6, for all of its bells and whistles, doesn't feel polished yet.
That's just the way it is.
This complaint, again, isn't going to be for everyone, but it bothers me. That CPU, with its support of Gen 4 Architecture, which we saw on those M2s and a couple of 10Gs, this system should have had USB 4 on board. I know it might have meant clipping the wins of those M2s and bringing them down, bifurcating them down lower, maybe just one 10 GBE, I'm not sure. But USB 4 on this would have opened the door to things like adding 10 GBE or directly accessing it. For a long time, QNAP have cornered the market with direct NAS editing with their Thunderbolt NAS series, and as I've mentioned in another video, USB 4 on NAS is a game changer. It's going to allow for users to directly edit onto a NAS like a DAS for multiple users to do it, while simultaneously allowing that system to be remotely accessible by many. The lack of USB 4 on this isn't going to bother everyone. It's probably not going to bother hardly anyone, but it bothers me because I think USB 4 is a real turning point in NAS to bring the price of the equivalent Thunderbolt NAS systems way more into line with traditional NAS systems.
That's just the way it is.
This next one, again, probably hasn't affected everyone, but it's definitely something I've heard users complain about, and myself I've started to notice. The Terramaster portfolio is starting to get a bit messy, and The fact that the standard class of the F4-424, ignore my watch, arrives with the N95 CPU, then you've got the Pro Series model with an N305i3 CPU, and then you have got this model with the Max model here with the 12th Gen i5 CPU, but they've all been released staggered across the year, has really messed up the price dynamic, the RAM dynamic, the feature set dynamic. The standard class and the Pro are too similar, with this one being way too far out there. I just find the F4-424 portfolio, as hardware equipped as it might be, is something of a mess in terms of release strategy, pricing, and hardware spread across the three.
That's just the way it is.
This last one, I always include it in Terramaster videos, just like I do with QNAT videos, just like I do with Acer Store videos. We got to talk about Deadbolt. A few years ago, Terramaster were hit with a particularly virulent ransomware attack from the Deadbolt group. They weren't alone. Other brands were hit, but not all brands were hit. And for different reasons, different brands were affected. It resulted in a lot of users getting their data encrypted and requiring to pay for data recovery services or to take advantage of unfortunate Bitcoin related ransom demands to get their data back. Again, Terramaster were by no means the heaviest hit by this attack, but there is no avoiding that they were in that bubble. And just like any other brand that was hit in that way, the way they handled it, I'm still going to have to talk about it for a few years afterwards, because I think for me personally there is a statute of limitations which has not expired yet. So do be aware that Terramaster were hit by that, and they did learn the isolation mode, tightening their security, disabling the admin, a lot of the brute force stuff, all gone, but still nonetheless we had to touch on it. But there you go, the F4-424 Max. Plenty to like and some other stuff you might not be so keen on. Let me know what you think in the comments. There's a full review, hopefully linked below in the description, along with links to get hold of this device for yourself from multiple retailers. So if you found this video helpful, and if you're going to go to those stores anyway, please use those links. It really helps me and Eddie out here at NASCompares. It's really just us two doing all of this. So using those links results in a commission, so we keep doing what we do. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.